For whatever reason, I kept putting off watching Jessica Jones, and I'll admit I was kind of I was like, it just doesn't have the same appeal that Daredevil did for me, and uh, I don't know what came over me. I think what it was is with the Defenders coming up. Well, you have Luke Cage first, and then you have Iron Fist, and then you have the Defenders, and then all the shows get their next seasons coming up. Okay, I think I felt somewhat obligated to watch Jessica Jones, and so I did. I watched the first episode, and the first episode, it was kind of like I felt somewhat attached to it. Like the first episode wasn't great, but there's just something that kept me coming back. It doesn't mean it was for everybody, but it's just something that kept me coming back. So I stayed for the second episode, and the second episode was good. I liked the second episode more than the first episode. It sold the show for me more. And then episode 3 came by, and that's the first time you see the enemy, the main villain of the season. And I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's when I was like, oh yeah, this is, if they do this right, this is going to be one hell of a show, one hell of a first season at least. And in my opinion, they did. They got it right. So Jessica Jones, in a nutshell, if you walk into this after watching the first season, and right now the second season of Daredevil is out now. If you walk into Jessica Jones not seeing it, but you've seen Daredevil season 1 at least, or season 2 if you've seen them both, if you walk into Jessica Jones and expect the same thing, you're going to be thoroughly disappointed. Okay, that doesn't mean, at least for me, my taste of movie doesn't, the line isn't drawn right at like a Daredevil type show where it's like it has to have action, it has to have ninjas, it has to have all that, all the stuff that Daredevil is, especially like something like season 2, right? Of Daredevil, that is. Jessica Jones, I would put it as like a thriller. I guess it's like a suspense thriller. It's almost like a crime drama, but I feel like if I say crime drama, it gives it a really bad shake, and it gives like a really bad name to something that kind of gets just tossed around as like a cliche type of show. You know, crime dramas, they're the same thing. You know, they're all procedurals. They all have like the same thing. You know, blah blah blah. The plot lines are all the same. This is not the same. I promise you. It's basically a crime drama, but with superhero aspects. And let me start into what I don't like about Jessica Jones. Okay, I have to get this one off my chest because this one, it's been bothering me ever since I've watched the show. Ever since the first episode, this Jerry Hogarth bitch. Not saying the actress is bad because she's doing her job. The actress, she's doing good at making me not like her. And I think that was her point, was that you're not supposed to like her. If it isn't her point, then they failed horribly. I hated that bitch so much. This Jerry Hogarth bitch as a character. I don't know anything about the actress. I've never seen her, as far as I know. But Jerry Hogarth as a character, I was like, okay, I feel it. She's gonna die. And I'm gonna be really happy when she dies. She is going to get what's coming to her. She was a lawyer, and she wouldn't represent the blonde Hope. She wouldn't represent Hope as innocent because she doesn't take failing cases. She only takes successful cases, and Hope's was hopeless. That's the only pun there's gonna be. I'm sorry, but Jerry Hogarth is just maniacal, stubborn, selfish. That was kind of the first one. And she's several things. You will find that she will piss you off, and she may have this determination and willpower of steel, but for all the wrong things. She's nothing. She's about no one but herself. Even at the end, she kind of like turns. At the very last episode, she kind of turns into, yeah, I would have represented Hope. Blah blah blah. Blah. Yeah. Well, all right, whatever. Fuck you. Okay. I don't like Jerry Hogarth as a character, and I kind of hope. Apparently, she's an Iron Fist character, so she's gonna be returning in the Iron Fist TV show. And fuck. Let's see, what else did I like about the show? There was some the other crazy bitch. There's a lot of crazy bitches in this show. For what is that? Okay, yeah, it's Spag. for a good reason. There's a lot of absurd things in the show. A lot of absurd sex. Nothing wrong. The sex isn't a negative though for me. It sounds like I'm a pervert. Whatever. I don't care. Okay. The sex isn't a negative. The amount of sex isn't a negative, but just the absurdities are what's killing me. And Jerry Hogarth and Robin, the sister of the crazy sister, Robin. I don't like that bitch either. Okay, those two bitches are the main bitches. All right. Yeah, I don't like Robin. Just I don't have to explain myself. If you've watched Jessica Jones, obviously you will, because this is gonna have spoilers in it. You'll probably agree with me that Jerry Hogarth and Robin, they're both. I fucking hate them. I fucking hate them, and I'm hoping. To be honest, I don't hope for this much because it's an opinion, but I hope you agree with me. I hope I'm not the only one who thinks Jerry Hogarth and Robin are just dumb bitches. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, I liked the show. I liked it a lot. Not as much as Daredevil. I didn't. The problem with this is that I walked into it expecting it to be like Daredevil, and that's not the way to walk into this show. I'm telling you. So far, it's spoiler free. So if you've watched this so far and you're not yet spoiled, there's nothing I've said nothing spoilerish. Don't walk into it expecting Daredevil like shit to happen. Okay, Daredevil like shit will happen in the show. It's going to live up to its Marvel name eventually. But for now, you just get the characters, at least in the beginning. Okay. So what's the plot about? You have a character named Jessica Jones. She's a PI, private investigator. And what she does, basically, she stalks people. She's just trying to make a living. That's the way that she puts it. She's just trying to make a living in New York City. And she stalks people, and she gets information about people. But it's not for, like, cops, or it's not for, like, this personal, like, need for justice or anything. She's just trying to make a buck, okay? She's an alcoholic. You get that established as her character. She's kind of about herself, too, but in a way that's better than that fucking bitch Jerry Hogarth. But anyway, she's just she's kind of out for herself, and that's really all there is. And then things kind of unravel. In the first episode, you kind of start to get a feeling of what's happened in the past. And as the second episode and the third episode, as the series goes on, the season goes on, I should say. There are things in the past that kind of unravel as to like what's going on in this Jessica Jones world, in this self-contained world that is Jessica Jones, this TV show. You find out that she knows the main villain personally, and I thought at first it was like a love interest, like her and the man's name is Kilgrave. I thought Jessica Jones and Kilgrave were like romantically involved. That is not the case. Okay. I want to save Kilgrave for a little bit later, but yeah, so things start unraveling about the past, about Jessica Jones's past, at least the recent past, and that kind of the series just kind of goes from there. You kind of figure out what Kilgrave wants, and all these other characters kind of just show up, and then they have their own personal vendetta or agendas, I should say. Let's get into the characters, I guess. Jessica Jones, alcoholic PI. I already talked about her a little bit. You have the second main character is Trish. She had an abusive mother in the show. Trish in the comic books was, I can't think of it. She was a superhero. I can't think of her name though. I can't imagine they play too much into that card. Even she knows how to defend herself, and you see her kick some ass. She's actually a pretty kick-ass character. But I don't think they're going to take the whole superhero route with her. I can't see Marvel doing that. At least not yet. Probably a season 3 thing, but season 2 she's probably just going to be another character for Jessica Jones, kind of like a backbone for her. A supporting character that I'm really excited about, and I was like, okay, you get a taste of what he's about, and now he's getting his own show. Luke Cage. Luke Cage in this. He's kind of a complex character because you see him like sleep with a whole bunch of different women at first, and then you find out that his wife was killed, okay, but not murdered, but just killed in a bus accident. And so he sleeps with a bunch of different women, and then he finds Jessica Jones like a love interest. And then I'm gonna start talking about spoilers. So here we go. You find out that Jessica Jones killed Reva something, not Cage, Reva something else. Um, Jessica Jones killed her, and that kind of puts a wedge between them, and it kind of creates mixed feelings for Luke. And Luke is a very complex character in this series, and I didn't like Luke's ending because there's no resolution between Luke and Jessica at the end, and it kind of, I mean, maybe it'll be answered in the series when in season 1 of Luke Cage, which is actually coming up in less than a month. I'm really excited about this series. It's gonna be awesome, but there's no like real resolution for him and Jessica, and it kind of bothered me a little bit. But you know, other than that, Luke Cage as a character is fantastic. Okay, then you have Malcolm. I don't know if he's a character in the comics. I didn't look into him because for me he wasn't like he was kind of crucial to the plot somewhere in the middle of the season, and then he kind of just became like he was already in the show. And so they kind of just kept recycling him and all this other stuff with Malcolm. I don't know if he's a character in the comic book universe, and quite frankly, I don't care. I didn't really care for Malcolm that much. I kind of liked him when him and Kilgrave were involved, and that was really it. You kind of just find out that you thought at first that he was a junkie, but then he's not a junkie. Well, he is a junkie, but that's because Kilgrave actually forced him to be a junkie, so that Kilgrave didn't have to like keep influencing him using his powers, you know. Yeah, I didn't care for Malcolm too much. He was okay. But now let's talk about Kilgrave. Kilgrave is easily one of the most... The word I can say for him definitively is interesting. He is definitely one of television's most interesting villains, period. Because his powers, yes, he has superpowers, so that gives him an edge, okay? But he's not, like, bent on evil. You actually find out the reason why he uses his powers is because he's in love with Jessica Jones. His powers are mind control, but it's not like, for example, Gorilla Grodd, okay? Gorilla Grodd, he's a Flash villain. He's a gorilla, obviously. And his mind control is telepathy. That's a little bit different than mind control. Gorilla Grodd's is telepathy, but Kilgrave's is mind control. If I say a command, you will do it. Literally, that's what happens. Viewer, let's see, I don't know. Viewer, smell your armpit. You would smell your own armpit. That's how good Kilgrave is, because that's just what it is. That's just what it is. I was gonna say something like really edgy, but I feel like if someone were to do that edgy thing, I'd be to blame for it. So I'm not gonna. So whatever you do is on you. Anyway, yeah. So if I say to do something, you do it. That's what Kilgrave's power is. It's mind control in layman's terms, but really it's like influence. He has a really strong influence, and it's actually interesting because his victims actually say. When Kilgrave says, I wanted to kill myself, their victims say, I wanted to kill myself because Kilgrave said to kill yourself. Like, I wanted to fight it, but at the same time, I really wanted to kill myself. That's really interesting to me. I love the victim's perspective of Kilgrave's powers, but Kilgrave himself is interesting because he has these, like, they're overpowered powers. They really are. Imagine in the real world, what Kilgrave could do if he were a bad guy like he is, or he's more like twisted. He's kind of just, I'm not gonna say misunderstood, but he's just not understood. Like his intentions aren't clear. Like he wants to be in love, or he wants Jessica Jones to love him back, I guess. I don't know, but anyway, he's not really a bad guy until the end, that is. But he's definitely not a good guy. He gives the good guy thing a shot, which is actually really interesting. But imagine if Kilgrave was real, or at least someone with that power was real in the real world. Could you imagine what they could accomplish or destroy? Oh my God! Just sit on that. Think about that. That's really interesting. World peace could be a thing. Okay, or global destruction could be a thing. Global enslavement. If you really were dedicated enough, those two extremes could be real. And I think that concept alone is interesting. But then the way that they executed it was interesting as well. Uh, he's not out to like kill everybody. He doesn't want to just kill everybody just because he wants to. He's killing people just like convince Jessica Jones that like your strength and my mind control, those are like we are meant to be because we're both freaks or gifted, as the show puts it. Kilgrave is easily a very interesting character, but easily one of the most interesting villains. For sure, interesting villains. Interesting character. He's charming, yeah, but he's also menacing. And when he wants to be, he can be very, very scary. At least in my opinion, he can be. Holy shit. There are some moments where I'm like, oh my god, what extents will you go to get Jessica Jones to fall in love with you? Just to have the love of this girl? Fuck, dude. Jesus Christ, you're crazy. What was one? In the end, or somewhere in like the middle of the end of the season, of the first season, Jessica Jones actually like starts to live with Kilgrave, not because she can't be controlled by Kilgrave, and the neighbor comes over because it was at Jessica's childhood house, and the neighbor comes over and recognizes Jessica Jones, and she like the neighbor pretends to sympathize or like feel or know that the death of Jessica Jones's family was there, and then Kilgrave uses his powers like, did you really know? And then the neighbor was like, no. Well then, why would you say such a thing? And the neighbor's like, because it makes me feel important. And then Kilgrave's like, leave. And I'm like, he says a bunch of other stuff too, but I can't remember. But that like whole concept, or no, you know what he said? He's like, how would you feel if, what'd he say? What'd he say? Oh shit, this is embarrassing. How would you feel if someone were to say that to you? What would you want to do to them? And then she said, slap them. And then he's like, leave. And that it was a lot better than the way I described it. That was terrible, but like that is so interesting to me. Kilgrave was an amazing character. They did a fantastic job with him. I know he's dead. Okay, I know he died, but like, can we, can they bring him back? No, I know. It's unrealistic because that kind of power, it really is overpowered. That is, if they keep him around, like any plausible situation will be to Kilgrave's advantage. That's just the way it is. Like if the season 2 villain of Jessica Jones, whoever it is, were to have the upper hand, all it would take was Kilgrave to be kill yourself. That's what Kilgrave would have to say. So I don't think there's too much more to work with Kilgrave, but it'd be really cool. I enjoy the character too much. I don't know. Maybe it's an emotional attachment I have to the character. I was kind of bummed out there was no Daredevil in it. I mean, if you kind of figure that like Arrow and the Flash, if they can cross over, you would kind of figure that Daredevil can at least cross over for one episode. But I'm not going to hold them against that, or I'm not going to hold that against them, I should say. I really enjoyed this. It's not a Daredevil. It's not like action packed. Yeah, they showcase superpowers, and yeah, there's fight scenes. There's really cool, interesting character relationships. It's more about like relationships, and it's more about like what Kilgrave can do, and they kind of flex that power. It's really cool. Jessica Jones is a thriller. It's kind of a crime drama, and it's a really good one at that. It's set in the Marvel Universe, and there's a lot of potential for Jessica Jones to take off. I think, personally, they're going to have a hard time topping Season 1 because Kilgrave was such an amazing villain. But I have faith that they'll at least be up to par with Season 1. I just hope that they actually get it up to par with Season 1. But Jessica Jones, I don't like it as much as Daredevil. Daredevil actually holds like a special place in my heart for especially the second season, as you guys know now. But I think I'll give Jessica Jones a solid 8 out of 10. A very solid 8 out of 10. There's not much more to say about it, really. David Tennant as Kilgrave, his charming but yet like menacing personality, and his power alone, the concept alone, is enough to just make one hell of an interesting villain. But the way that they executed him, where he's not like a bad guy, he's just, again, misunderstood feels kind of like a cop out, but you know, his intentions are like, that's an interesting way to use your powers. And they also kind of made him relatable when he's a kid. There's actually one scene in the season where him and Jessica are talking, and there's footage of Kilgrave as a kid, where you see his mom and dad experimenting on him, and then he kind of goes off on like this monologue slash dialogue with Jessica Jones, where I've had to choose like my words carefully, because you have any idea how frustrating it is to not know whether or not people are doing what you want because you have this power, because they actually want to do it. That's like, holy shit, that's awesome. One more thing I actually forgot to address before I cut the video. There's a character that actually bothered a lot of people, and it's that Will Simpson character. And he bothered me, like when he got more and more screen time as the season progressed. It bothered me, and then after the season was over, I kind of like, you know how it is sometimes. I looked him up, Will Simpson. Yeah, I know why they put him on, and I know why they gave him the edge that they did. The character's name is Nuke. Nuke, he takes a pill. In the comic books, he actually takes a pill, and it makes him like this crazy soldier. And he's got, I think he might be a season 2 villain for Jessica Jones. At least one of them. I don't know if there's going to be more than one, but I wonder if he's going to be like a Defenders villain, or like a Luke Cage or an Iron Fist villain. That'd be really cool. But Nuke is coming back. Will Simpson is coming back. And for those of you that hate him, you're going to continue to hate him. He's a villain, so yay, you get to hate him even more. Yeah, I enjoy the hell out of Jessica Jones. It's a really good thriller. I think maybe they could up the superhero factor in season 2 to make it better. It was good enough for me, so that's why I gave it the score that I did. I had a really fun time with it. I mostly enjoyed Kilgrave. I'm beating a dead horse now. Fuck, he was an amazing villain. I enjoyed Jessica Jones. I can't wait for season 2. Next month, Luke Cage. Expect a review on that. Luke Cage, I can tell, is going to be the shit. It's going to have, there's going to be some racial issues talked about in Luke Cage. There's going to be. And I look forward to doing a review on that one. So, yeah. Thanks for watching this video. Fucking A, Kilgrave was awesome, man. What an awesome villain.